Hey, Stoney here with another game of Mechabellum, and in this game, you'll learn how to pivot out of a very unfavorable position. Let's go. Alright, at the bottom here, I am playing as a quick supply specialist with Sabretooth and Arclights. My opponent, C. Molly, is playing as a Farseer specialist with Stormcallers, Fangs, and of course, Arclights. This is a 2000 MMR game. Stonecrawlers are quite decent into Sabretooth, especially if you're in a defensive formation with vertical fangs. The Sabretooth themselves simply don't move that fast, and until your Arclight get ranged, they're kind of bunched up together, giving the Stormcrawlers the perfect target to destroy. So round one, I normally don't hold my breath on winning. On the other side, instead of putting the Arclight right by the tower, I've decided to put it up front with the support of some fangs. There's a bit of debate on whether you should use fangs or crawlers when you're pairing your Sabretooth and Arclights, but I feel like in this sort of situation, the fangs might actually work a little bit better. Excuse the glitch of the green box. Sometimes it happens as the green box lingers just when the round starts. All things considered, not terrible, but you know, this is what you can expect when you're running into the Stonecrawlers. Okay, round two. Improved Sledgy could be an option for my opponent, but instead he decided to take Electromag. Electromag for 50 is actually quite a good card because you know eventually you'll need this. So this one has 2 rounds of countdown, which means by round 5, the Electromag will be back. Okay, so this is now a chaff round for me. I've decided to add even more crawlers. And I've also added more Arclights and now with range. So I should have no problem clearing at the front. My opponent added a squad of fangs on the deep flank that are being met by my defensive crawlers. I mean squad of crawlers. Unfortunately, the Sabretooth are now moving even slower. So they're great targets of the Stormcrawlers. But the Arclights are doing work. Ooh, that was a terrible tower. Which means the Sabretooth is probably going to get taken out soon. Wow, surprisingly, it survived for as long as it did. All right. We'll get into round 3. So far, I don't feel like I have any commanding lead of this game just yet. I feel like my opponent has been defending extremely well. Level 3 Wasp is a high tempo unit. You can use it to distract your opponent in all sorts of ways. A very common move is just have the Wasp here on the side and put some sort of distraction on the deep flank. So all his back units will get pulled. Your Wasp come in, gets the tower, everybody's happy. My opponent is thinking of the same thing, except he's going to the deep flank himself with a pack of crawlers and of course the Wasps. I don't particularly like the crawler. I mean, I get it, right? The purpose of the crawler is so that in case I have a missile, the crawler will take that initial hit. But if the missile doesn't completely destroy the crawler, my crawler will be pulled towards his crawler. And then when the Wasps do warp in, it would just essentially follow my crawler up north. So I'm not a big fan of having crawler here. I would rather take the risk with the Wasp or simply deploy them on the line. I added an additional Arclight here to defend my other flank. And my opponent just continues to chaff up, and in this turn, they actually level both of his Stormcallers. All right, let's see how the flanks are doing. Yeah, so this is exactly what I was talking about. So we got 3 crawlers here. The squad of crawlers is going to take care of them. And now they're starting to run. But these are level 3 wasps, which means they are getting... No, they're still following this individual crawler. So, yeah. I mean, They may hit the tower along the way now that the crawler has moved out of their targeting range, but yeah, it's not ideal, right? You just want a very clean, straight to the tower flank with these level 3 wasps. Okay. Mm, fire might be something, but honestly, there's not much that I need here. I think for fire, we could probably just line it up this way and we can get like 4 squads of chaff. My chaff clear isn't terrible. I mean, we already have quite a number of arc lights. So that's going to be a skip for me and also a skip for my opponent. I took jump drive on his level 4 wasp. I think they're quite useful. And I'm using them to defend against his non-existent level 3 wasps. He sold the wasp and instead bought hackers, realizing that I simply do not have enough chaff at the front. So this hacker will lock onto the saber tooth and then the arc lights very quickly. And the missile is just the nail in the coffin, which means the hacker will lock onto the sabers right away. All right. So this is actually quite bad news for me. My board consists of single unit squads, and they are usually the prime target. I mean, he's already got my level 1 saber tooth, and now he's gonna get my level 2 saber tooth. He might even get my arc light. Nope, not quite. He got the arc light on the other side. Units coming down. Got his tower first. Don't think he has a lot of AA except these Farseer and his squad of Fangs, so I might be able to make something happen with this Wasp. We'll see. No chance. All right, a fantastic round for my opponent and a huge punch to my HP, bringing me down to just 2254. And this is also another quite scary round. We got 2 high tempo cards, both are very difficult to defend. But instead, my opponent decided to just take the supply enhancement for the long game. And I don't blame him. I mean, he's got a fantastic board with these hackers into a board with a lot of single unit squads. He has a lot of chaff. His chaff clear could probably use a bit of work, but I don't have a lot of chaff myself. So why not play the long game? I mean, he's at a clear advantage. On my side, I have a very difficult choice to make. Should I continue to build my board with my core units being the Saber and Arclights? Both are extremely susceptible to the hacker. Or should I build something else? And what is that something else? Since we're only at round 5, we don't have a lot of money for a hard pivot. So I've decided let's just continue on for one more round. We're going to defend ourselves with some shield bubbles and anti-missile device. Hackers themselves, like my opponent's board, has no real shield break if I can stop these rockets from landing. Hackers don't do is full damage when it's shooting at the shield. Arc lights are chaff clear. And about the only thing that has somewhat of a damage is this level 1 Farseer. So I'm feeling pretty confident that the shield bubbles will protect me. And I also noticed that my opponent simply does not have a lot of anti-air right here in the center. So I put the Wasp and the Crawlers in the center and just mobile beacon straight towards the tower. And lucky for me, I caught 2 hackers while traveling. Okay, the left shield was taken down fairly quickly thanks to the Electromag. And my level 2 Sabertooth was taken, but my level 4 Wasp are now in the firing range of both of these Farseers, both of these hackers, as well as this Farseer. Good missile, but the job was done, the damage was done. I get into round 6. A few more tempo cards. Battleship is going to be the unit for my opponent. And I was worrying either a battleship or wasps. And what I need to do is just have a single squad of crawler right here in the middle. If my opponent puts the battleship on the side, the battleship should not have enough chaff clear, which means the wasp will still do some damage. I'm not sure it will kill it, but it will do some damage. Hopefully this squad of crawlers will run towards it. I took replicate, knowing that there are crawlers on both of my deep flanks, so I should be able to get more crawlers and just cause a little bit more problem for my opponent. He's responding the 2 tempo cards with 3 squads of Mustangs. Mustang Hacker is an extremely viable composition. And he's also adding oil on the ground. So he knows that as long as my chaff gets stuck and the Stormcrawlers are dealing enough damage, he'll win the fight on the ground. The Mustangs are also a great way to deal with this high level wasp, which is now level 5. Alright, the boat is going to come down on the left-hand side, and that should not be a problem whatsoever. I have 2 squads of crawlers and a single level 5 wasp to deal with it. Not to mention replicate, which means the boat will be stuck shooting at these crawlers for quite some time. There he goes. See you later. However, things aren't looking too hot at the front. I still have my shield bubble. My AM device is still capturing some of these rockets from the Stormcrawlers. However, it looks like... Actually, it's not looking too bad. The replicating crawlers are actually getting in. The Mustangs, they simply do not have the chaff clear power. But this single hacker, though, is just getting so much value. It's going to take another Sabertooth. Nope, not quite. The Sabertooth was able to shoot it down in just the last second. Notice I did take range on a Sabertooth. While I wasn't preparing to commit into the Sabertooth, but I didn't want to die either. So having range was somewhat useful to me. Round 7, we got a unit drop here. Tanks at level 3 is an excellent high-level chaff against the Sabertooth, but for me, it's got to be the boats. The boats is one of those extremely potent, high-tempo single-round moves that if you don't manage properly, it could just grow out of control. So I took the level 2 boats with chain gun, adding 2 more, and it will be a mobile beacon towards the tower and then to the side. We've seen this a million times if you watch the Woot stream, or, I mean, this is just a very common strategy because it creates such a huge power spike. And if your opponent is not prepared for it, you'll probably win in the next 2 turns. And keep in mind, my opponent is at 1156, which means if I can get through this round with 3 of these boats intact, plus maybe like a chaff unit, I should be able to take this game. All right, so a little risky, but we'll see. Now, whenever you're doing a one-sided boat push, just make sure you want to have some missiles at the front just to clear the way towards the tower. All right, the Mustangs are getting completely destroyed. I mean, the Wasps are getting completely destroyed. I think the Mustangs took... No AA just yet, just range. And now the boats are spinning over. We still have crawlers on the ground, which is great. Because the Mustangs themselves are actually terror bad into crawlers. And now we'll clear out one of his sides and we're pushing towards the second tower. And this is what you need, right? Whenever you're running a boat strategy, you want to make sure that you clear both towers and getting the maximum benefit of his mobility. But man, we got some really, really good Mustangs and the Farseer taking out one of my 3 boats. Okay. Not quite. Not quite, but we're close. And this is my opponent's opportunity to respond. When I was playing this game, I realized I did not swap out the tech on my boats. So this is not exactly a frontline setup because I don't have jump drive. I mean, it could still work, but it's not as powerful. So in situations like this with the lightning storm, if I had jump drive, I would have jumped these boats all the way to the other side and start pushing the other tower. But in this case, since I don't have jump drive, I'm kind of stuck with the with their current position. All right. So one way to respond to this boat push is to just have a lot of Mustangs with AA. Eventually, you also want to have melting points and just shield the fangs up front. But my opponent is making the correct move of just adding a little bit more Mustangs. He does have the level 3 tower. I wouldn't mind seeing him upgrading this one more time to get to level 4. Not only it provides a lot of HP for my boats to go through, it also reduces the debuff time. All right, expecting the lightning storm to happen on the right side, I've added just more boats in the middle. I have enough chaff, especially in these crawlers, to move forward. I just want my boats to start doing damage. All right, the middle boats, they are coming in. They are being targeted, however, by these blue Mustangs. And the lightning storms are slowing down these larger boats here on the side. So things aren't looking great. And these units are pushing downward. Oh, did get tower, which means we can do a bit of damage control here, but not much. Oof. Very close game here. Thank you, Bear-like, with the triple typhoons. This is absolutely amazing drop. And my opponent, expecting the triple typhoons, decided to pick up the triple scorpions. Typhoons are being equipped with Typhoon Shield, and they're being put on the front lines. One is just to protect my chaff, and the other is just to do some chaff clearing. Last turn, I actually forgot to use my Lightning Storm, but now that I've seen what the board looks like, that's where I'm gonna be. Mustangs eventually took AA, which means they'll be even better onto these boats if they can lock on. With 1,300 left over, what should I do? I mean, the only reasonable answer is just more boats, right? When you have more boats, at some point, they become self-sufficient, even with chaff clear, with the chain gun. So there's no downside of having more boats. We're taking Photon just in case we're getting disabled by something. But also, Photon gives everything underneath just a lot of HP. So I do want my Typhoons to survive a little bit longer. I don't want the Scorpions, especially if the Scorpion's taking double shot, to just getting rid of my Typhoons too quickly. And also, the Photon helps protect against these Mustangs. All right, now a total of 7 boats, all photoned up. Typhoon's running in. Can we get that first Scorpion? Yep, got him instantly. Typhoon's still alive here, getting the second Scorpion. And now we're moving on to tower. This is a huge momentum. Pivoting over, I still have pretty much all my boats intact. Still 6 of them, 5 of them remaining. But now we have some level 3 Mustangs with AA, and that's going to chew through these boats extremely quickly. Can we get that second tower? And yes, we can. We're not out of the woods yet. Right, these Mustangs are very potent, but I do have replicating crawlers at the front distracting them. And I think that's going to be game. So, yeah, with the Mustangs gone, there's nothing left to deal with this boat. All right. So things were getting a little hairy there. I mean, there's actually 2 instances where things just aren't looking good. The first instance was when the hackers first appeared. I had the opportunity to continue on with my ground forces, but I just really don't see a way for me to pivot out of that successfully. I knew my opponent is just going to go hacker Mustang, so even if I go forwards with shield, it will be a little too late. The boat drop was very interesting, allowed me to have a lot of momentous plays here on the far right. That lightning storm was really bad, and also the lack of jump drive was it's a little sad. But I'm glad I was able to pull through with this high tempo strategy. All right, that's it for this video. And if you like this type of content, don't forget to subscribe and like. And if you want to see another video like this, here's one for you, and I will see you on the next one.
Prepare your tactics. Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress. The battlefield's alive with swarms.